גם יסודו מעפר וסופו לעפר. כחרס הנשבר, כחציל יבש, וכציץ נובל, וכצל עובר, וכענן קלה, וכרוח נושבת, וכאבק פורח, וכחלום יעוף. Abba loved that verse from the Tefillah on Rosh Hashanah. There is a series of paintings based on it. He found it illustrative and true. He said we were all ephemeral beings here on this earth for such a short time. All the more reason to take advantage of every moment and stop focusing on what he referred to as shtuyot, nonsense. Abba knew this was it. He told Ima, 82 is a very respectable age. Look at how wonderful our life has been. Just look at our incredible family. Ima said, it has been incredible. That's why I want more. He answered, now you're just being greedy. Abba was fascinated by the brain, particularly the differences between the right and left hemispheres. He did extensive research in neurolinguistics. It makes sense to me that this fascinated him because he was one of those rare human beings who had two very developed hemispheres. Abba's left hemisphere was incredible. He had a brilliant mind. He was deeply rational, analytical, and articulate. He became a world-renowned linguist with books translated into many different languages. He lectured around the world and ran the extremely successful English Language Institute while teaching at Queen's College and mentoring graduate students. His children and grandchildren loved getting into long discussions with him about everything, from philosophy to fishing bait to the study of genetics. But his right hemisphere is what really set him apart. That's where his spiritual side lived, and his deep emotions, and of course his art. Abba found Judaism at a young age. He came from a home that was not very affiliated, but his mother sent him to Hebrew school. Before long, this young boy started keeping mitzvot and eventually found his way to Israel, where he met Ima. But back to his right hemisphere. Abba noticed everything. The shadow of clouds gliding over a mountain, colors reflected in a puddle. I was once walking with him in Cunningham Park when I noticed he wasn't walking with me. I looked back and he was staring at a tree. He admonished me, saying, "How could you walk right past this? Didn't you see the incredible shapes and textures on this bark?" He loved nature and he was our family's nature Wikipedia. Also, our geography Wikipedia, frustratingly still giving us directions to turn southeast. And of course, he knew history and politics and art and culture and all things language. He was so well-read and so knowledgeable. He was our Google. Though if you asked him anything, he'd inevitably say, "Look it up." He wanted us to seek answers, to investigate and to learn. Abba loved music. My earliest memories are of sitting on the floor while he played guitar and we sang. Sloop John B., Michael Row Your Boat Ashore, anything Peter, Paul, and Mary, and later Simon and Garfunkel. One night in the hospital, Abba asked Oren to put the Weavers on Spotify. Then he sang along with Kisses Sweeter Than Wine. And of course, Abba loved art. He loved painting, sketching, and even planning his paintings. He took stunning photographs. He loved looking at other people's art, his art books, exhibits. He experimented with different styles, paints, ideas, topics. I have an image of our old ping pong table in the basement, covered in his palettes, jars of different brushes, and alongside them Sfarim, as he was working on a triptych of paintings depicting the concept of light in Midrash. There are paintings that are relatable and some we don't all get. If you'd ask Abba, "What is that painting?" he'd answer, "Whatever you see." At Abba's last art exhibit, he said, "Art is not what the artist sees, it's what he causes others to see." And Abba, you helped us all see so much. We can't talk about Abba without talking about Ima. When I told her last week that they've had the perfect marriage, she said, "No, it was a marriage. We grew up together, we built a life." But anyone who has spent any measure of time with him knows this isn't true. From the moment he saw her at that Kumsitz on Tirat Tzvi 62 years ago, to a few days later when he got her note that said, "Kacha ozvim et hatira bli lagid shalom," theirs really was a fairy tale love story. Despite their wildly different childhoods and backgrounds, they found a common language. They found a common language that transcended all differences. It was a language of accepting each other, flaws and all, the old 80-20 equation. It was a language of shared experiences, shared responsibility, and shared dinners. Watching them together these past weeks has been both heartbreaking and awe-inspiring. The tenderness and love they shared were so palpable you had to look away. Above all, theirs was a language that focused on family. Ima and Abba are blessed with 8 children and in-law children, 16 grandchildren, and as of this writing, 17 great-grandchildren, with several on the way. That's about 50 observant members of Am Yisrael, all because of a very brave choice Abba made many, many years ago. Abba was an unusual parent. We didn't realize this, of course, until we got older. He verbalized how he felt, what he was thinking. Lines of communication were always open. As Ima says, no secrets, no drama. If we debated about a decision in life, Abba would analyze it with us, pros and cons. But if we would beg, Abba, just tell me what to do, he'd invariably answer, kids, I'm sure you'll do the right thing. Abba, you will continue to guide us and be our beacon, and that of your grandchildren and great-grandchildren. We will always try to do what you would have considered to be the right thing. I want to go on to tell you about the volunteering Abba did with wounded soldiers during the Yom Kippur War, about how much fun the grandchildren had riding with him on his tandem bike, about our sailboat, about square dancing with Abba on Bear Mountain, or seeing Abba swing Ima around the living room, singing some enchanted evening. I want to describe the smell of his amazing soups, the comfort I felt from the smell of his fresh oatmeal in the morning. I want to tell stories about Abba taking an interest in everyone he met. No one was ever invisible to him. I want to capture the image of him on the floor with his grandchildren and great-grandchildren, building something and encouraging their imagination. But I know I have to stop now. I adjusted Abba's pillow in the hospital because I thought he was uncomfortable. Apparently he wasn't. He said, "You're a sweetheart, but you don't know how to leave well enough alone. It's like adding chocolate chips to your oatmeal cookies." So Abba, I will try to leave well enough alone, but it's hard because we're no longer well enough now that you've left us alone. Abba, we promised to smother Ima with hugs and love. She's been your rock and your soulmate for so many years, taking such gentle care of you always. You were an incredible gift to her life, and her adjustment now is unfathomable. I know your friends will make sure to be with her, and this tribe you've created will do everything it can for her. Oren, who is the son people can only dream of, teaching us all the true meaning of Kibud Av and Chesed Shel Emet, along with Anad and Ariella, who hopped on a plane to be with you and stayed and stayed and stayed to take advantage of every minute left. And I will continue to support Ima in every way we can. We promise to pay attention to beautiful sunsets, to bird song, to each other. Not every daughter got to hear "I love you" from her father at the end of every conversation. We know how much you loved us, how proud you were of all of us. We know because you made sure to tell us. We know how lucky and blessed we are, Abba. We can only hope to emulate you, to balance our logic with our spirit, to be observant both in practice and by noticing people and nature around us. We will try to remember how ephemeral life is and use our time left in this world to make you proud.